Hi, I'm Melissa Hull. I'm your host. This is The Ripple Effect, and I have a question for you. How many of you are really showing up in your life? How many of you aren't even sure how to show up in your life? Well, today I'm going to introduce you to a woman who can help you, and you can find those answers. So stay tuned. I'd like to welcome Robbie Motter to The Ripple Effect today. So Robbie, thank you for joining me.
Oh, Melissa, I am so honored to be on your show because you do so much good for so many people, and I'm just thrilled.
Robbie, that is a compliment coming from you because I happen to know how much you do to help other people. And I began this show today asking my audience a question like, how do you show up? Or how do you know when you're showing up in your life? And I know you talk about that quite often. So can you help me explain to the viewers what it means to show up in your life?
Well, first off, I think when you're showing up, you need to know where you want to end up in life.
Mm-hmm.
What is your ultimate goal? Who can help you get there? Where are they showing up? And once you know that, then you program yourself to find those places, because showing up is like a treasure map. You never know what treasure you're going to find, and I guarantee you, when you show up, there's going to be a treasure everywhere you go.
I think it's great, the analogy of the treasure map, because sometimes I think we think X marks the spot, and we forget that sometimes X marks the beginning of a discovery and adventure, and there's always something to be learned. It may not be what we initially think we might find, but you're right, there are treasures everywhere in life. So I have to ask, what is one of the examples that you like to give about how you've shown up in your life?
Well, I always, at all of my meetings for Nafy, I always ask the girls, what is it they need and want to stand up? Because women have a hard time asking. We're helpers. We've been trained to be helpers. Years ago, many of us were taught, don't brag about yourself, but who knows more about what you do than you do?
That's so true.
So I learn about different things that people need. And it's amazing, last week one girl said to me, a job I had ended. So if you hear of anything, and I said, well, right now I don't know of anything. I go to my meeting in Marietta, and my speaker says to me, if you know of anyone that's good with grammar and punctuation, I do blogs for my clients all over the world, and I need somebody that's good because I use some of the overseas people, and they're not too good with punctuation. I said, I absolutely know of that person. So maybe it was like 24 hours later.
Isn't it ironic how those things happen, when you're asking? Yeah, showing up in life. Now, you just mentioned Nafy, which is the National Association for Female Executives, and you like to add, and entrepreneurs. What exactly does Nafy do? What is this organization designed to do?
Well, they're 45 years old, and they're headquartered in New York on Park Avenue. Their mission is to help women grow both personally and professionally. Now, they don't have any networks of their own. They have what they call affiliate networks. And I think that our networks are very different than any other organization in the world, because we're like a movement. We're like a sisterhood. You've heard of the Yaya sisters. Well, we're the Nafy sisters. And we help each other. We care about each other. And that's what I love about it. It's like, for me, it's like having an extended family.
Oh, I love that. So it's a place where women can go and really be inspired or even supported, maybe even mentored or mentor each other.
Absolutely. And we always have dynamic speakers. The one thing one of my members said, in many organizations, women wear masks. They're not really who they truly are. But you said in Nafy, it seems like no one wears a mask because they come as their true, authentic self.
That is really, I agree. I definitely agree. I think that women are sometimes afraid to let other women see them. Maybe it's insecurity, or maybe it's the fear of judgment. But I do think that that's true. And how wonderful to find an organization where you can just set it all aside and just be with a group of women that are there to support you. You have to have a very loving and safe environment to create that.
And that's what I love about it, because that's what we have. We're, like I said, I think we're more like a sisterhood. We're a movement. I get invited to a lot of groups over the years. I've never found a group like ours. And I remember even when the economy we went through a crisis not long ago, I had members come to me and say, well, I have to drop some of my memberships, but Nafy will not be one of them. And of course, Nafy's never raised their rates. They're $39 a year.
Wow.
That's it.
So is there are meetings, are there websites? How do you guys come together?
For the Western region, we have the www.wrnafy.com, but the main corporate website for Nafy is www.nafy.com.
Nafy.com.
And they do a lot of, there's a big Nafy Awards every year. Nafy and corporate does the top women companies, women that are running companies. They do a lot of things like that to really highlight women.
So how does somebody become a member? Or is there an application process, or is this done by selection? Tell me a little bit about that.
No, we don't do it by selection. If you're a woman who really cares about helping other women, then you want to be with us.
That's wonderful. Just to touch on that a little bit further, it's a global outreach program, correct? This is a global community.
That's right. We have networks all over the country, and we're always looking for women to step to the plate and start new networks, to become the director. So if they're in an area that Nafy doesn't have a network, all they have to do is call me and I'll show them how to get one started.
I bet you will, Robbie. You have this energy that just seems to be endless. What drives you? What is it about your life that just seems to be you love life, Robbie?
Well, I'm 81.
That's amazing.
And I love life, but the most important thing is I know that I see in women some things they don't see in themselves, so I can help push them. And then all of a sudden, I've had women say to me, how did you know I could do that? I said, I knew. And then they're so excited when they do that, and then they're willing to reach higher. And it's just like our Nafy conferences, we bring in the best speakers, and the women walk away saying, oh my God, look at that, look at their story. I was worried about my story, but look at what she's accomplished in her life.
I think that sharing stories is really important. It's one of the reasons why I created the Ripple Effect, because I believe that our stories give others kind of a roadmap or a guide of how they can face challenges, overcome them, and not get stuck. Because I don't know about you, Robbie, but do you find that there are people that get kind of stuck with in the circumstances, and they forget to see that right on the other side of that, there's this potential, this greatness? But how do you help a woman do that?
Well, I think first you have to have them believe in themselves, because a lot of the problem is they don't believe in themselves. So the first thing you want to do is let them know how beautiful and wonderful they are, because it's from the heart. Beauty is from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And once they learn how wonderful they are, they can associate with people. I always say everybody needs a lot of mentors in their life, and you may need this particular learning of this right now, and then you gather that. Then you need to get another higher level of learning. So you reach out and you ask, because I think most people want to help people, and I think just because you say what you do and want, there isn't somebody say, oh good, I'm going to go help her. You have to ask for it. You have to say, what I'm looking for, I'm new in social media. I would love someone who could mentor me to be better. And I would guarantee the 3 people will raise their hands and say, oh, I'm willing to help you.
That is so great. So you really it's a way to just empower your members. And it's wonderful to think of a community that is so giving. It doesn't seem like there are any queen bee syndromes in the room, No. And I've been in rooms where there's a lot of competition, and I've never really understood that personally. I'm more of a collaborator. I like to compliment, see where I can fit in and help out, but not everyone is like that. And it seems like you've been able to really tap into that dynamic, that there's power in collaboration and cooperation.
Well, one of the things I feel, women make the most decisions in life, even if they're married.
So true.
They spend a lot of money. So if we women come together, there's nothing we cannot do. So it takes a team.
Yeah.
You can have a person that comes up with an idea to do something, but it takes the team to execute it.
So Robbie, new woman, new member, kind of stuck. What do you tell her? What's the
Well,
first
first you've got to
thing
find
you do?
out who she is. What does she want to do? What is her dream? And then I just like to put them in touch with someone that can help them with that dream. Like, we just went to an event on Sue Talks. The other night at my Temecula meeting, a new member came in, and she mentioned that she'd like to speak on the circuit. I said, I know exactly where you want to do. So I bought 10 seats at this table for Sue Talks, and I invited 10 of my members who are ready to become speakers on that platform. And they're all speaking out, but in fact, one of them said, oh, I can't do it. I said, you're going to do it, and you're going to be in that December thing, and you're getting your application tonight. So they were all emailing me today, but I think they will do tryout. And I said, come and see how it's done. Then you will see it's not what you're imagining it's harder than it is. You have a story. Tell the story from your heart. That's what makes people, that touches people. People will listen when it's coming from a heart.
I do believe that. I often, and I do say this, that it doesn't start with logic. It starts with connection. And when you speak from the heart and you connect to another human being, that's when you begin to really open up their mind and open up the possibilities for themselves or for what you can do together. And it's wonderful to know that you agree and that you're doing something similar.
Because it's so true. I mean, last night, those 6 speakers were not, the ones that were on the stage were not people that actually were out speaking. They have businesses. They were amazing. And the room was packed with probably 200 women and not one noise. Everybody was focused in on what those women were saying. And they were amazing. Their stories were amazing. So I always say everybody has a story. Sometimes when speakers go out, they want to put together a big plan and they want to have this tailored speech. No, from your heart. You're not going to capture them if it's not from your heart.
I agree with you. Robbie, I am so excited to continue this conversation, but right now we're going to take a quick break. Join me. This is Melissa Hull, and you're watching The Ripple Effect. And welcome back to The Ripple Effect. I'm your host, Melissa Hull. Robbie Motter is our guest today. And Robbie, I've learned an awful lot about what you think it means to really show up in your life and a lot about Nafy. And now I'd like to know more about you. Can you tell me a little bit about you? Where were you born?
I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1936. And I actually lived there when Pearl Harbor, I was 5 years old when Pearl Harbor was bombed.
What was that experience like? My
gosh.
gosh.
It was pretty scary.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So the movie, I've watched the movie several times. That sound, that unmistakable like alarm that goes off. So you remember hearing that?
And the crazy planes would drive down the highways and just shoot at cars too, besides doing all the damage they did at Pearl Harbor.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My gosh. So you were born in Hawaii. Now what was it like growing up there? What was your family like?
I really don't remember much about my childhood, but I do remember that I learned to swim very young, and I used to surf.
Wow.
But I almost drowned once surfing, so that ended up my surfing career.
Oh my goodness.
Because you get trashed and you just keep going over and over, and it's kind of scary. The waves were pretty high.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I'm curious, may I ask a personal question? You said you don't remember much about your childhood. Is there a reason for that, would you say?
Well, I didn't grow up with my parents. I don't know who my father is. And I lived in different foster homes, not only in Hawaii, but also in the States.
Okay.
And I just don't have any memories of those things. There's only a couple memories I have of my childhood. One is I remember I had a German Shepherd named Sandy. And as I was toddling, Sandy would get my whatever I had on to keep me from crossing the street, because I guess I was always a wanderer back then. And then I remember my first Holy Communion, but that's really all until I was about 14.
Wow.
But it's not bad.
That's interesting, because oftentimes I hear people say, they have a story like that, but they talk about how it kind of, they were hurt or they were angry about it. it seems like you just see it as the way it was, and then you weren't limited by this at all. And I
No,
think
because
that's
there's only
fascinating,
one way to
Robbie.
do it. If you're at the bottom, you just go up. There's no way to go back
That's
down. So I just used it as a, I always say that every day there's a lesson to be learned in life. And I'm sure there was some lessons for me to learn, to be strong and to know that I could accomplish anything I wanted to do, that nothing was standing in my way. And it didn't matter where I came from. It's where I was going that was important.
that's so powerful. That's so powerful. It's not where you came from, it's where you're going that matters. Wow. So tell me a little bit about college. Did you go to college?
No, I got a GED.
Okay.
I was, I didn't like really school. I always wanted, if I wanted to learn something, I just read a book.
I see.
And then I could master it. I just thought school was a waste of time. In fact, when I lived in Hawaii, I remember, it was so funny, I just recently went back. We used to play hooky, and we'd go to Kapiolani Zoo, because the truant officers weren't there. And when I went back recently, I went to the zoo, and it was kind of
how
nice to
great.
bring those memories back. But, it hasn't, I think not everybody should do what I did. But I knew that I would accomplish and be whatever I needed to be, because I knew that whatever job I had, I would go in early and I'd learn more so I could get a better job. And I always had, in my whole life, I've had great jobs. I had a staff of 800 in Washington, and in New York I had a staff of over 100. And in fact, one of the guys that worked to me always says, he went on and ran for office, he did a lot of things. He was an MBA graduate in New York when he worked for me, and he said that I taught him more than anything he ever learned in any book in any college he went to.
That's fascinating. Now, what is it that he learned from you? What did he say he learned from you?
Well, I taught him, it doesn't have to be in a book. You feel something and you need to reach out. If you're trying to accomplish something, you look at all the ways it can be accomplished, and then you go for it. But that may not be what the book tells you to do. So you think outside the box. And I've always been an outside box. I never know, like when I have clients, I like clients that tell me at A what they want me to do, and they tell me when they want me at Z, and they leave me alone. And I've had those kind of clients, and I have one client for 14 years from Sacramento. One time he and I talked is when I needed more literature, but he could see that I was performing because he was getting the orders and checks were, I don't like to be micromanaged, because even I don't know what I'm going to do. I get up every day and my day could change. I need to be flexible, that if an opportunity comes, I can take that opportunity.
Wow. So that's remarkable, because a lot of people I know, maybe even I have to admit, I like a plan. I like to know that I have these things to do, and I feel like I feel like a sense of accomplishment when I kind of check all those boxes. Maybe there is more to be said for not having so many plans, but just having more of the experience and learning from the experience.
Well, I think you need to know what you want to accomplish. I do the same thing. I have things that I must get done.
Okay.
And it's interesting, because if I happen not to finish one and I go to bed, I can't sleep. I end up having to get up and
I
finish.
am the same way, Robbie. It'll just play like, I didn't get it done. I didn't get it done.
And then you get up and go do it. Then you go back to sleep.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that is one thing that you and I definitely have in common. We found out a few things that we have in common. Both born in March, both love the water, both really believe in helping to serve people. Like, that's a big passion of mine, and I know it's a big passion for you. So what is still left for you to accomplish? What is a goal or a dream that you have that you're still aiming for?
Well, there's a lot of people I haven't met yet. And there's a lot of dreams that many of my members have. And I know that if I reach out and I meet those members, that there are going to be people that I can put those people together, and they will accomplish their dreams.
That is fantastic. So you do events, right?
I love doing events.
How many events do you do in a year?
Sometimes 6 or 7. It just depends. Sometimes they come to me, and a good example, one of my members does Operation Prom Girl, where she gives out gowns to all the kids who need them, gowns, jewelry, shoes, everything, makeup. They don't have to pay for it. And she called me the other day, and she said, Robbie, she said, the girls all want gowns, and I've been given a lot of short cocktail dresses, and I would like to give them to the Nafy members. Why don't we do a tea? And I thought, oh my God, I just finished the conference. I said, okay. Because I suddenly remembered that one of my members is an expert on teas. She knows the different types of teas. So we can do a tasting and she can explain the teas to us. And then we could have a harpist, and then we could do the thing, and we could fix the table since I have 12 sets of dishes. We can decorate them all beautiful. So we're going to do the tea.
Ah, that's amazing. So,
And then I just got an idea, and I hadn't even talked to the two clubs. I had done Extravaganza 1 and 2, where I bring in all this wonderful entertainment of people I know. And I thought the Women's Club needs money, and the Lions Club does a lot of events. So I thought, why don't we do it together? Because the Women's Club can get the big hall in town.
yeah.
Because they meet there. And we could do an event, and I could get all the entertainers. So then I was at the Women's Club meeting the other day, and I said, I have this idea. Do you like it? Yeah, we do. And then I went to the Lions Club, and I said, how about we doing it together? Now, they've never done a project together. It's very simple. You just get the people there. I'll take care of everything else. So today I spent 10 minutes. I have 12 entertainers.
That's incredible, Robbie.
It's about the ask.
You've said that a few times, and I was just sitting here thinking about how important it is to ask and how little or how infrequently I think people do. I think they talk about immediate needs, but they don't talk about what they really want, you know.
Not me. I asked for everything. See, I even asked you if you'd be a speaker at our Nafy conference next year.
And I said yes, enthusiastically, yes, I am delighted to be a part
So by
of it.
next week, I'll know where it's going to be and when it's going to be.
Okay, and I'll be there.
Good.
I will definitely be there.
And they're in for a big treat.
Now, you do so much. You give, like you donate a lot of money to these very worthwhile organizations, but how are you receiving those funds? And is there a platform for people to contribute to help you continue to serve?
Well, whenever I do an event, like when I do the women's conference, I go out and get a few sponsors.
I see.
Because one of my goals is I could charge a lot of money for the conference because the speakers that come in are amazing. But I don't want to do that because I need to reach the women that need it the most.
Yeah.
And they can't afford it. So for our conference this year, we gave out 30 scholarships to women who really wanted to be there but didn't have the money. Many of them were single parents working, and you know, our price was cheap, $90, which was all day including lunch. But even $90 for, I can remember when $90 was so much, I couldn't have done it. And then I've been doing the Nafy conferences in California 8 years, and every one of my sponsors has stayed with me every year.
That's amazing.
And I just try to bring in enough to know that I want to give. Last year I gave 6 charities money. This year I gave 3. And I like to be able to give out. I don't take a dime. I work on the project the whole year. I get all the gifts. I get all the sponsors. I do all the ticket sales. And then when it gets close to the event, I bring in the team to help. Because I find I don't like boards. I like just making the decisions and moving forward. You get more done.
I agree. You know, I think that's interesting. You know, being an executive gives you the ability to do that, you know, to kind of make those critical decisions and then get the support you need to execute them.
That's right. Then it gets done.
It does get done.
You're not always in meetings.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better to do than to talk about doing.
Yeah, I'm an action person.
So am I.
Like, you know, the girl called me and she's tea. For a minute, I thought, oh my God, I just finished that. But I said, no, it's a great idea. I'll find a way to make it work. And we did. A day later, it was in the makings.
That's phenomenal.
I went to the restaurant. I said, this is what I need you to do. He said, okay. I said, we'll split the cost 50-50. You provide 50%, I'll provide the 50%. They said, okay.
That's fantastic.
Gave them the menu what we want.
So what's next? What's next on your agenda?
I don't know. I might get a phone call today, you know. You never know.
That is incredible. So
what the purpose of these events is to bring the people together. Mm-hmm. You know, coming together and keeping the sisterhood even closer. And
I really want to talk about that because just a minute ago you talked about providing this for the woman who really needs it, who may not be able to afford it. For a single mom who's maybe struggling and where $90 is the difference between paying an electric bill
right.
or not. It seems to me like you might have a little bit of experience with that.
Oh yeah, I was a single mom with 3 kids, and I didn't get a dime from an ex-husband at all. In fact, he was kind of a guy that when I was married to him, money was, I'd get a new Lincoln every year, nothing was, the day, and then we did a no-fault, And the minute I signed the paper, he canceled our health insurance, he canceled paying for my daughter's car, he canceled everything. And according to the agreement, I was to get $700 for the rest of my life. I was to get a clothing allowance for my daughter, because she was the only one that was still small. He was to pay for her college and all of that. 3 days there, everything was canceled. But I didn't feel that because that happened, I didn't feel that my daughter should suffer. So I went out and just did 3 jobs.
Wow.
I slept probably 3 hours a night. But my kids always had people to take care of them. They were never left alone.
Wow, Robbie, 3 hours a night and three jobs. How do you manage 3 jobs?
You do if you have a purpose. And my purpose was to not make my children have a different way of living. I wanted them to live, I wanted them to go to the best schools. I wanted to live in the best areas because it was important. And that's what we did.
That's incredible.
And they're all very successful. I told them, I did tell them, when you're young, I'm going to work very hard and take care of all this. But when you get older, I'm not paying for anything. But they're all very successful. They're all very successful today. And I'm very proud of them.
So, Robbie, I have to ask, I'm a mom that has a career, and I have a 12-year-old little girl. And there are times when I feel like I work maybe more than I should, or I'm gone more than I should be. Did you ever struggle with those feelings of maybe the guilt of maybe I should slow down, maybe I should be there more? I
did, but what I did manage to do is when I was there, they were my total life. It was their time. And I explained to them to have these things, to go to this school, to have the clothes you have or have that. This is necessary. It's part of Life 101.
Yeah.
And they really understood that.
So they never complained. They understood that you did this out of love.
Because they knew, when I said to them, when I'm here, I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
And I was.
That's really powerful, Robbie, and something that I think a lot of women struggle with is when to disconnect, like when to just be at home, be present. Being present for some people is very difficult, and for others it seems to be so natural. Did you ever struggle with
Oh, yeah. In fact, recently for my 81st birthday, I went to Hawaii and I went by myself. And I realized that I was doing stuff all the time and there was no time for me. So what I did is I came back, and now there's 1 week a month that I do nothing related to work. It's whatever no matter what happens. I do all the work stuff the other 3 weeks, but that week I get to do what I want to do for me because it's something I've never done. And it really, the interesting thing about that is that the next week, you get so much done.
Yeah.
You know, the things you didn't do are done faster.
Oh, that's so wonderful. So it's almost like you recharge.
You do.
Yeah.
Because if we don't take care of ourselves, how do we take care of others?
That's very true. And I think taking care of yourself can look like many different things. It can be taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually. You know, it's just checking in and kind of asking, you know, what is it that I need?
It could be just going out and working in your garden, which is stuff you don't have to do time to do.
Which we are in your backyard in this gorgeous garden, and it's spectacular.
Well, something to me about plants and earth bring me closer to God. I just feel like it's, you know, my watching some, you know, when I watch something grow, it makes me think of the women that I interact with that are growing. And I see, too bad I can't give them that stuff I feed all my plants. That would grow so much faster. But no, and you know, it just does. I sit here and I think, oh my God, so-and-so is feeling tall and standing in her own purpose as I look at the hollyhocks. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's a reason. I was thinking about that, why I like all the plants around me.
There are so many. It's like it's vibrant here. You walk, as we were walking through your garden, I was looking at all of the different colors and all of the different like varieties of plants, and it just, the feeling here is that it's alive, it's vibrant, as are you. You are just filled with life. And again, you know, I said it earlier, you seem to be just unstoppable. And I know that you've struggled. I know you've faced a thing or two in your life, and you just seem to have this ability to not let them stop you, but to just continue to drive you.
Well, you know what I always ask when something happens? I say, okay, God, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn? What is happening in Life 101 today? And there's always a lesson that we learn if we just listen. And then we always say, oh, right. Yeah, that's right. I need to change that.
Wow.
So,
well, we're getting close to the end of this episode, but Robbie, I want to ask, any words, like what are the last words that you want the viewers to hear today? What is it that you want to leave
I want them
with
to know that they're in charge of their own destiny. No matter what, a lot of times a woman will get an idea, even men, and they'll say, oh, that's a dumb idea. It's been tried, your friends say that to you. There are no dumb ideas. Life is about timing. A not dumb idea today could be the right idea tomorrow. So if you believe in it in your heart, do not let anybody stop you. Go for that dream and never let it leave your power, because you're in charge of that. You will accomplish it. If it's what you really want to do, you will accomplish. Nothing will stand in your way.
Well said. Well said. Robbie, thank you so much for being my guest today. It has been just a pleasure getting to know you, and I look forward to doing things with you in the future and learning from you. You inspire me. You really inspire me, Robbie, so thank you for that. And I want to thank you for being a part of the Ripple Effect. I'm Melissa Hull, and we'll see you next time.